Welcome back. You're watching the midweek edition of Business Morning on Channels Television. Let's get to the big story that we're tracking on the program today. Lockdown Lagos. Well, it seems as if that's what we've been seeing in the last couple of days. It's not been a particularly interesting time for residents or business owners or even tanker drivers here in Lagos. Channel's business news editor, Boson Mofaye, joins me, as I said, to look at how the Apapa petrol and traffic story and situation is actually affecting business and the economy. Hopefully, I don't have to call Boson because Boson is right here with me in the studio. Boson, good morning, and thank you so much for coming in. Now I'm on this side of the table, but it's so good to have you on that side of the table.
It's good to have this joint ticket, as it were.
So, let's talk about this lockdown in Lagos, like, you know, a lot of people have been talking about. This Apapa
is a phrase.
This Apapa traffic, you know, has been something that has stuck in everybody's craw in the last couple of weeks now, running. Even before we started having the issue with fuel scarcity, we've had issues of the tankers constantly being on the road, on either side of the, even in the middle of the road, preventing motorists from getting to their destinations. A colleague was telling me this morning how, you know, his wife had to turn back because the traffic was just too much, couldn't get the kids to school.
I think we have two issues here on our hands, and one sort of mix or dovetail into the other. Yes, the gridlock around Apapa axis, that's been there for several years. It didn't start during the current administration. It's always been there. The volume of that's the largest seaport in West Africa, one of the largest in Africa as well. The volume of businesses and haulage vehicles, heavy-duty vehicles moving in and out there is quite enormous. Then it's also heavily populated around the Amuwo, Apapa, and the rest of them. You have the Apapa GRA, you have the estates there, you have a number of newspaper houses, you have banks, you have you have importers, you have shipping lines from Maersk Line to Elder Dempster. Everybody's down there. Then you have a number of other businesses. You have people living there. So Apapa is is a mixed bag of both business, economic, and human story that you find down there. Then around Apapa there, if you go through Satellite Town, My 2, Festec, and I'm sure Eugene Wake from Nagaf will talk about that. He's the one having that headache on a daily basis.
I'm telling you.
facing mine in another
He also has to face the traffic
town.
coming into the studio
He's going to talk more about that. But from the little that I've known over the years, that area has had a big problem because, again, the port, the Lagos, the main port, had extended over time. Now you see some other pictures down there. Now on the screen. Now that is extended. Then you find a number of fuel tanks by petrol importers being built around the same Apapa. At the same time, you have residential houses springing up as well. So Apapa is a poster boy of how bad urban development and urban planning in Lagos State could be.
But you see, the thing is, Boson, this is not the first time that this issue has come up. This is something that they've been talking about, getting petrol tanker farms away from the ports to ensure that the tankers
the key issue here is that we've come to a gridlock because of very poor and badly managed urban planning. For example, how did we allow residential houses and offices and residences being converted into commercial offices to creep into the port, just at the doorstep of the some folks just live next door to the seaport. You can't have that in Hamburg or anywhere else in any major seaport around the world. You don't construct those houses. You don't open a law chamber just next door to a seaport. Now you find the guy selling vehicles as well. From as soon as you come down from the My 2 bridge, there they are. They're also doing big businesses over there. Now, so it's a convolution that you have there in Apapa, and it has to be solved. So beyond paving the roads, doing better drainages to get the tankers down there. Now, again, at the time when this port was built before independence, Nigeria's independence in 1960, the volume of vehicles, the population of Nigeria, the number of haulage tankers and other vehicles, heavy-duty vehicles coming to the port were significantly lower. So the roads, the drainages, the facilities, the parking spaces, as we may want to put it for these tankers, were very small because the number of the petrol tankers coming in there were few. We built that seaport and the facilities that were built when the Nigeria's population was perhaps around 10 million or 20 or far less. Now we're talking about 160 million. Therefore, you have cement loaders. Now you have a lot of factories and companies that were not there 20, 30 years ago. Dangote Sugar Refinery is in there. He wasn't there many years ago. Flour mills was much smaller years ago. Of course, they were one of the first early arrivals at the seaport with the Greek merchants. You find others like Promasidor. Okay, the makers of what do you call that milk again? The little milk, I forgot the name. Now, Promasidor also came in from South Africa or whatever, and they are also in there. So you find Honeywell also doing business there. So that wasn't, Apapa was a GRA, very quiet area, those who were there many years ago. Now we've found everybody approving, Lagos State and the federal government, all contributed to the mess. And I put that, quote and unquote, that Apapa is today. But let's get back to the big story as far as this petrol issue is concerned. Now we have a major problem. It's not just that the petrol marketers and importers want their subsidy. They want their money paid. But the tanker drivers are also suffering. Businesses are suffering. People are suffering on all sides. Now, this is a very serious economic issue. Now, as soon as these haulage tankers get that area congested, then you have a spillover effect into where you have Festac Town, to Maitu, Wamwodofin axis. Then you find all the way down to Jibowu and all that Nigerian breweries where you have the National Stadium and what have you. So that gridlock is not just Apapa now, it's Lagos is actually going into a typical and a total lockdown. Then those of us who are fortunate enough, quote and unquote, to be outside that downtown part of Lagos now have to face another part because all around the petrol stations, there are queues snarling all the way into neighborhoods, your street, my street, on the highways. In a number of areas, the authorities are doing a good job. And I must commend.
You know, these are visuals that our correspondent Loretta was hoping to talk
Loretta was hungry down there.
Yes, she was. We're going to be able to talk to her later, much later on telephone anyway, to get the situation update from where she got that one.
The turnaround idle time, the turnaround time that's now been idling away by those tankers is enormous.